So basically today what we're going to be doing is this is our first stream from our team anyway. What we want to do is go through a couple of apps whose developers have opted in. So they are aware that their apps are going to be reviewed, which is good. But basically we're just going to go through with a couple of kind of like high level reviews. We're going to kind of go through the process. Nice turtleneck, thank you. Thanks. We know.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're gonna just go through a couple different apps, kind of give you guys a little bit of insight into kind of the process that we go through, our mindsets when we're going through reviews, talk about some requirements that need to be met, and of course, if you have questions throughout it, just fire them into the chat. And we got some mods in there who will be happy to answer them, as well as us. So I thought we might do a little bit of an intro. So Ivana and I have been on the app review team for a few years now, seen all kinds of apps. So we like to think we're pretty well versed in this. But I say,
I would call us pros.
Pro, okay.
I would go that.
Ivana's a pro.
Oh, yeah, I would go that far.
Ivana is a pro. We'll see how I do. Okay, so let's go in for it. I say we just dive right in. What do you think?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's hope this.
Excited. I want to see some apps.
Let's hope this wicked transition happens. Look at that. Okay. So you should be now seeing just the classic Shopify admin. This is one of my test stores. So something I want to preface with is that both of these apps, Advoz and Ty, I've already installed them to my store. So they've already successfully gone through the OAuth process, which, as I'm sure many people know, is the very, very first step we got to see. Another thing is that there's parts of the review process that take place what I'll call very internally, where we might have to be reviewing things that are present in your partner dashboard or in the Shopify internal dashboard. So obviously we're not going to show those on stream because that's sensitive info both for us and for our partners. So we don't really want to, tell people where you live. But we will show off your app. So basically some of those requirements that we'd see in there would be simple things like ensuring that your app icon is uploaded in your partner dashboard, that your name matches what's on the listing, things like that. We want to make sure that you've got your mandatory webhook set up. Things like, ensuring that you're not using the term Shopify in any of your URLs. So those are some examples of things that we'd be kind of looking at internally, making sure your API key matches, stuff like that. So that's kind of what I'd say is probably the kind of first things we're going to be doing in our review flow. From there, we're going to install your app. So again, these two apps have obviously installed successfully. They're in my admin. And from there, what we like to do is take a look at your listing. So I'm going to do Advoz first.
Amazing.
Yeah, so
this is a fun one.
Yeah, this is good. So this app is one that essentially is going to be creating ads through social media and Google for your products. So it's an advertising app. So let's dive right into this listing. And okay, yeah. So the first thing, Advoz is a great, unique name. This is good. It's not FB ads for your store. It's something very unique. I could find that again in a heartbeat. Good tagline as well. So what we're looking for really here with your name and your tagline is that we want them to be unique. We don't want them to be like a generic descriptor of your functionality. And the other thing is that we don't want you to include the term Shopify in your name or tagline.
I gotta say, I do love the pictures on this beautiful listing.
Very vibrant, very with it.
Yeah,
I appreciate the theme.
Into it.
So yeah, let's talk about it. I think the first thing I actually noticed about this listing that I really like is that you can tell that they are really FB ads for your store, automatic publish. 10 out of 10 would publish that. So what I really, really like about this listing right off the bat is you can tell that they're making use of a lot of things, a lot of elements that are optional. So as much as they are optional, we're never going to tell you, hey, you need to fill out your key benefits. You need to include a promotional video. These are optional elements, but we do encourage you to use them, of course, because as you can see, the first thing when I'm landing on this listing is that I see these beautiful key benefits images. And that is exactly what these should be. Just like 3 kind of like high level benefits or features that you really want to drive home. And the images themselves need to be actual like illustrative images about your app. So no screenshots here, please. And no text. We don't want
Now I'm gonna
them.
do a little plug here for
Yeah,
Burst. If
hit
you do
it.
need free images, go to burst.com. Amazing collection of images that you can use in this section. And I know it's optional, but like right off the bat is the first thing that I saw. And I was like, wow, this looks beautiful.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, I dig that for sure. But yeah, no screenshots in there. That was a sweet plug.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
Burst. Make sure
maybe
you sponsor me.
we'll link that up in the chat. Someone will link that up in the chat, no doubt. So yeah, the other thing I noticed here, the only thing I'll say that I just want to touch on in this case is totally fine, but there's some logos going on over here, which makes sense because we're talking about
Yeah.
Facebook, Instagram, and Google. You're good to
Mhm.
use logos, but just like please ensure that you can use them. Don't just kind of like
Yeah.
go snagging logos willy nilly and throwing them up in your images, just because that's something like if someone were to extremely awkwardly, fire a DMCA your way, like Shopify will probably have to act on it because we host the listings. And also that goes for Shopify logos as well. So make sure you're using them from our dedicated doc on, Media Kit and stuff like that. Okay.
Hey, can I talk about the logo for 2 seconds for Advoz?
Yeah, of course. Let's go
Do you
up to
notice
it.
how the corners are rounded in the image, and then we
Hmm.
also round it as well?
Yeah, that's true.
It kind of just looks a little awkward.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, ideally,
Yeah,
so Shopify will always round the corners for you. So just keep that in mind if you are going to be making a logo. Also, try to avoid using a white background,
yeah,
because you really want to
totally.
make it pop. So
Yeah,
let's keep going here. So we'll scroll down. The one thing that I've definitely noticed right off the bat that this developer is going to have to address for their listing is that we've got some pricing information, both in this key
mm,
benefit and in their detailed description. So that is something where we would trigger a criteria to say that, hey, you can only include your pricing information in the dedicated pricing section,
mhm.
just because it triggers other flags on the listing, such as up here. And it's really important that we don't kind of have that all over the listing. And I get it, like your pricing might be a very important part. It's like your selling point. We get it, if it's cheap or whatever. But please just keep it in that pricing listing. It will show up uh, where it needs to. So this would
Absolutely.
have to go. And just another thing to touch on there is that that does also have to do with the term free. So free is
Mm.
technically pricing information. So please just keep that in the pricing section and that will live here. It'll say free to install. It's all good. The merchant will know.
Yeah, as much as we love the word free, like
Love it.
trust me, like love it. There's this place for it.
There's a time and place,
Yeah.
and it's section C. um, So yeah, let's take a look at this detailed description. I dig it. I mean, at the end of the day, this is an app that creates ads for products on your store. That's kind of
Yeah.
the gist. So with that, this detailed description, I would definitely like to see it kind of like buffed up a little bit. It's pretty
Right.
short, and there you do have a pretty big character limit. That doesn't mean you have to like just kind of throw words out. You don't have to fill it up, but I would like to see this. The other thing here is that this is kind of like there's two simple ways to use Advoz. That's great. That's really good information. But at the same time, like what I like to see is that the first thing I kind of want to know when I'm reading the detailed description is what your app does and what problem is it solving for me? How is it really going to make my business better? That's what the merchant wants to see right away, get to know it. And then from there, it's, you can go into things like a little bit of an about us situation, things like that. You can get a little bit more kind of nitty gritty on your functionality. What we
Absolutely.
don't really want to see in there is going to be things like, a 10-step how to use, like an instructional situation. Um, we want it to be a describer, a descriptor rather of your application. So I would hit them. What do you think, Ivana? Would you use a
Yeah, I
criteria
would
here?
totally want to see this a little bit,
Yeah.
like you said, a little bit more fleshed out. And the reason being is that, merchants aren't the only people that land on this page. This is technically your only sales pitch to the merchant. But like for bigger merchants who have teams who do looking for them, merchants also reach out to our support team, right? So when we have our support advisors, looking at app listings with merchants, it's really helpful to have as much information in there as possible about what your app can do, what it possible features does it have,
Hmm.
anything that's coming down the pipeline, sort of stuff like that. Just this is your one and only chance to make that sale.
Yeah, that's a really good point. You kind of have to pitch it that way as well. App Annihilator in
Yeah,
the chat, that is an Unreal username,
yeah.
and we would send a criteria requiring this developer to add some more details. All right, so let's crack right on. I like that they've got their information over here. Let's check out this link. Perfect. So a good distinction here as well that I would like to make is that your developer website should be going to, it kind of sounds simple, but your website as a developer. So the distinction that I want to make there is that if you say you're a developer and you're creating a app that connects, say, Shopify to QuickBooks, but you are not QuickBooks. The distinction there is that you
Hmm.
should still always link to your developer site. You should still always list your support information because it is for your app. Um,
Yeah.
I just want to drive that home a little bit. But besides that, we're good. We got a privacy policy. We got the contact info. Let
I
us,
want to just address a question real quick.
yeah.
Hiker Tommy asked a really great question. He wrote, "Is this type of model allowed? Is it's an app but appears to be linking to a manual service?" Honestly, really, really great,
Mm,
fantastic question. So we don't know. We won't know until we install the app and play around with it and see what's going on. What we like, as long as the app is completely automated from a merchant's perspective, and they don't actually have to interact with a real human, uh, we Gucci.
Gucci.
Yeah,
That is a good question. Thank you,
yeah,
Hiker Tommy.
and honestly, like we'll find out when we install the app, and
Yeah,
that's how we find out. Like we wouldn't just reject it based on what the listing says.
for sure. Yeah, that's a good point as well. Like that's again another really good reason why I really like a good detailed description because I want to know when I'm going into the installation, like I know what your app does. I know what to expect, things like that. I shouldn't really have like any massive curveballs where it's like, oh, your app says this, but isn't that. um,
Right.
all right, so let's get visual. Let's take a look at these
Yeah. Let's start
screenshots.
clicking on
Let's
stuff.
start clicking on some stuff. So let's take just a quick look at these screenshots here. They look great just from the thumbnails, but so we require that you have 3 screenshots. Let's take a look here. So this is obviously their UI. It's looking good. I like the UI kit. Sweet.
Hmm.
And then I think we got some mobiles. Yep. Great. 3 of each. Love to see it. So the main thing here is that our screenshot requirements, if your app affects a storefront, the requirement is that we need to see an example screenshot of what it does to a storefront, and then we do need to see a screenshot of the app user interface itself. That's the big thing. The third screenshot,
Hmm.
that's up to you. It can be either UI, it can be storefront, it can be whatever your app does. Um,
Yeah. What about mobile screenshots? What's the requirements on those?
yeah, so
Let's talk about
that's
those for a
a
sec.
wow, great segue, great pivot.
Oof.
So the mobile screenshots, I like these. Yeah, the thing about mobile screenshots is that they would have to be of your app, like it being reactive in mobile, what the actual mobile user
Hmm.
interface or storefront effect would look like. Sometimes what we get is folks will just kind of like crop the desktop screenshots accordingly as if you were viewing the screenshot on mobile, which is
Hmm.
not a requirement. We just want to know what your app actually looks like on a mobile device in use, kind of thing.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Okay, and then we got the pricing section, and that is looking good. It's just, it's free to install, so that's accurate. And then you set the ad budget, it looks like. Makes sense.
Hmm.
Cool. So that I would say is a really solid listing. To recap, what we're going to need them to do is definitely beef up this detailed description, and we're going to need them to remove this pricing information from their listing and only keep it in here.
Cool. I'm going to answer some questions in the
Yeah, what do
chat.
we got?
If an app is only meant for US based merchants, is there a way to prevent other
Hmm,
merchants from even
great
installing the
question.
app? Ooh, fire question. 10 out of 10, yes. So in your partner dashboard, in the listing, you actually get to set who can install and use your app. Obviously, there's tons of different apps that do tons of different things that sometimes can't be used in specific regions for whatever reason, right? So you can set which country you want, or even which currency the store is using. So you can really do like a little bit of a deep dive on who can use your app.
Hmm. Yeah, and it will
Yeah.
like prevent stores from installing it who can't use it. So it's good. It's good
Yeah.
value time. What do we got? Another question here.
Ooh,
After
yeah.
initial approval, oh, like how do we make sure that folks just like don't go and change it? Yeah, that's a really good question. So we luckily we have a whole team dedicated to just that. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, no. So ultimately, to answer your question, no, there is nothing that stops a developer from going in and changing things that we ask them to change after that. But we do scan the App Store very frequently, and we do have a governance team that will be reaching out to apps in violation if they're going around and kind of trying to game the old system.
Yeah. I mean, that's not to say that apps can't grow as businesses. Like, obviously, you
Of
can. You
course.
can add features and things change, and your business absolutely can evolve. And we
Hmm.
kind of expect that as you gain popularity on the App Store. It's like, if that's happening, amazing. Kudos, high five. Like,
Kudos.
please keep growing. Yeah,
There we go. All right. Well, I'm going to fire over to this screen back in my admin.
absolutely.
Um, but no, it's a good question. Yeah, I mean, the context for why we don't really lock it down is for what Ivana said. Like, we understand that you're going to
Yeah.
be changing your app, potentially constantly.
Yeah.
Like, that's obviously you can do that. It's your business. It's your app. So that's why we kind of leave it up to you.
Yeah.
Okay, so over here, so like I said, these apps have already gone through OAuth successfully. They are installed on my store. What I want to touch on here real quick is that for the installation process and those specific requirements is that if your app does not OAuth, if that first redirect after we put in that install URL is not redirecting to Shopify's OAuth page for that handshake to get the merchant's permission, to view the scopes, to get the store info, your app will be automatically rejected. And
Hmm.
that, I'm sure, for a lot of folks is understandable. But what I really want to drive home on that point is that your app will not be further reviewed past that point. So, like, if we get redirected to a login page, or we get redirected to a page that asks us for our myshopify.com URL, and then we click that, then we get redirected to OAuth, that's still failing that requirement. The first step has to be OAuth before anything.
Yeah.
And again, just to make it crystal clear, your app will not be reviewed past that point. So
Yeah.
if you fix that, resubmit, there's a very high chance that you're going to get some other screening criteria in there too. Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to take a sec to talk
Hmm.
about why OAuth here is so important and why it should be the first page. And uh, and I'm going to talk about it from a partner's perspective. The amount of information that you can get about your merchant from OAuth is priceless. You can make it so easy to be a merchant just based on the data that you get from that OAuth,
Hmm.
from that authentication process, right? Like, essentially, if you have any forms that need to be filled in by the merchant, you can pretty much autofill them fully just from data that you gather from OAuth.
Yeah. That's the thing. Like, you don't want the merchant to really have to repeat themselves, right? You just want all that info kind of
Yeah.
one fell swoop.
I mean, people are lazy. I don't want to type my
I don't want
name,
to type it
you know?
twice, you know?
No,
But
it's
yeah,
5 letters too
the
many.
big
Come
thing
on.
there is like, please don't ever ask a merchant to have to put in their myshopify.com URL. That ain't it, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's keep going with Advoz. So let's take a look. So something we will look at during OAuth, and especially when we go to kind of see what the app's doing, is going to be the scopes that it's asking us for. So Advoz, as we've kind of said before, is an app that's going to be creating social media ads and Google ads for products on your store. So
Mhm.
they need to be able to read products on your store. So this is pretty reasonable, I'd say.
Yeah, totally. Agreed.
So yeah, big thing is that like you cannot just like ask for every single scope. Like, if Advoz was asking for every single scope, we would definitely hammer down on them and say, please only request the scopes you're actually going to use. Now, let's say you add functionality to your app that would require more scopes. You would just essentially queue that up, and then the merchant would go through OAuth again with an update app button instead of an install app button.
Yeah.
Let's see. So I'm going to go ahead and open Advoz. And if we got some more questions
Cool,
in the
cool, cool.
chat, we can hit that up for sure.
Yeah, for sure. GDPR webhooks are those requirement for approval. Actually, those are requirements for submission.
Hmm.
You won't be able to submit your listing without having those URLs present. Buddy Rob, what's the biggest pickle of an issue devs run into when being published? Ooh, that's a really spicy question. Let us think about it, and we're probably going to answer it within the stream over the next
Hmm.
hour. And if we don't end up answering it for you, I'm sure that we'll find something to give you here.
Yeah, definitely.
And then, will an app like Energize be allowed, or too generic? Or app name like Energize? I kind of
I
like it.
dig it.
Yeah,
Patent
I'm
that.
into it.
Trademark that down immediately.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Get energized, folks.
We got
And
some
then
massive Marco hype in the chat right now. Absolutely agree. He is a legend, and Ivana is a goddess for sure.
oh, it's true. Thank you.
Big,
Thanks for the
big ego
recognition.
strokes right now. Thank you, everyone.
Honestly.
Okay, so I'm gonna just fire something. Some of you might have noticed in the stream that when I opened that app, it took a little bit of time. That was a bit of a load chunk there. I did right before this do a big kind of cache clear, so not sure if that's something to do with it. There are some factors we'll consider on our end. We're all working from home, our internet speeds vary, etc. But I would definitely bring
Yeah.
that. So another thing too, like I've already successfully installed this, but we screen record every single install we do. So in this
Mhm.
case, what I would do is install that, open it, have it being recorded, and then I would send that to the developer in question, just saying like, "Hey, just so you know, this seems like it took a little bit longer than maybe it should." It's more of like it's not necessarily like your app is bad, we're not going to talk to you anymore. It's just we want to bring this to your attention. We
Yeah,
got your
that's
back.
true. And then we can troubleshoot. Is it the app? Is it Shopify? Is it something else? Right? Like,
Yeah,
we can figure it out together.
definitely. So yeah, App Annihilator, good point. That one's pretty slow. Do you reject because of slowness? So we won't really reject based on the speed of the app. Like we'll always kind of give you the benefit of the doubt and always try to make your app work. So like let's say it seems like it's kind of loading indefinitely. We'll go back, we'll reopen it, we'll hit you with a refresh. We might do a cache clear, try it again. So like, we're gonna try and review your app as much as we possibly can. We're not just gonna hit like, oh, your app's really slow, reject, fix it, please. We understand that there's like factors involved. So yeah.
Yeah.
Here we go. So yeah, this app, honestly, really dig the UI. It's slick. It's on brand. It's
Beautiful.
yeah,
Yeah.
super nice. It's very clear cut. Like I really dig it. You can advertise for a specific product. You just select which one you want. And the cool thing about this app that I want to mention too is that it's not just kind of like plugging in algorithms, reading your store. What you've got here is actually someone like an advertiser who's going to be like personally handling this situation, which I think is really cool.
Mhm.
So you go through and you've got your different tiers of pricing, which we saw from 15 to 100, I believe. And we can just go for it with that. So what I'm going to do real quick is it's the same thing here. So like, I think when we switch tabs, okay, that's loading nice and quick now. Love that for us. Something I want to mention as well is that obviously for this to be able to push ads to Facebook, you would have to connect your Facebook account. That was also the first step of the
Mhm.
onboarding. This developer was kind enough to provide us with a test Facebook account. So again, for the same reasons of showing credentials and stuff,
Yeah.
I've already connected a Facebook account.
Yeah, somebody actually talks about that in the chat. Is me sending a quick screen recording of how to use my app helpful when I submit for review? Listen, anything's helpful.
Yeah.
Honestly, like send us screen recordings. They don't have to be voiced over. If there's some really specific functionality you want us to see and test and like
Yeah.
catch, definitely include that. But I would say, please, for sure, include any sort of login
Yeah.
credentials, or create test credentials for us to use and
Please,
add them
yeah,
in there.
definitely. I'm a big use case guy. Like I love it when in the test
Yeah.
instructions, like the developer tells me like one or two, maybe even three things that it's like this is how you would use this app. What
Totally.
I don't love to see is when it's like, click install, click OAuth, accept billing, use the app. It's like, well, yeah, that's that's what it needs to do. Actually, thank you.
Yeah.
But I just want to make that distinction for sure. So yeah, anything to help us out is great. Like we understand you guys are super busy. You guys want to get published ASAP. We want to be able to get you guys published ASAP. So yeah, anything to help us
Yeah.
out. No matter how simple you think your app is, test credentials, test instructions, screencasts, all the way.
Yeah.
Okay.
And to answer the last question, you can't reserve an app name. So better make that app quickly and submit it. And for before submitting, how long does it take for something to get looked at? Honestly, pretty quick,
Mm-hmm.
within a week, I would say.
Yeah.
Definitely,
We
it's very
really
quick.
push for 7 days, which is what it is right now, which is
Yeah.
pretty darn quick. But basically, yeah, we review apps in the order in which they're submitted, so that time can fluctuate if we're getting a ton of submissions. But 7 days has been pretty static for a while now, so you can bank on that for now.
Mhm.
Okay, so what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to buy an ad. So what I'm going to do is just hop us back over to our banter screen here. I named this setup banter.
Lovely.
Yeah, there we go. So what I'm going to do right now, just for obvious reasons, I'm going to buy some ads. Now, normally, Ivana, do you want to kind of talk about? Oh,
Not
yeah,
shared with the world.
yeah. I just if you want to kind of talk about what we would like developers to do if there is something we kind of have to pay for, and also if you want to touch on why I am putting in my credit card information on this app and why that's allowed.
Absolutely. Okay. So, what would we really like a scenario is when we can use test credentials, right? So that includes test Stripe accounts. Depending on which payment gateway you're using to run your ads, for example, we would really love the opportunity to use that classic 424242 credit card, and obviously include that in your instructions as well. But we would love to use that. So that way nobody has to pay for this out of pocket. But in this situation, because we're connecting to Facebook directly, we can't really use a test credit card in this situation. So Marco is using his own. And then afterwards, we're just going to cancel the charge.
That's
Yeah,
it.
I'm going to answer a question. Somebody asked, can you talk more about scope permissions and why they are important? Absolutely. I mean, huge security reasons. Like,
Hmm.
let's talk about like huge security guy. Um, you know, you never want to be asking for things that you don't need yet. If you are building functionality that's going to need a specific scope in the future, let us know in your submissions so that way we can prepare for that, right? But if you are asking for scopes outside of what your app actually needs to function and work for the
Yeah,
merchant, then we're probably going to call you out on that.
yeah, definitely. It's just it's a
Yeah.
question of security, and like I think sometimes developers just kind of like check off everything because it's like, oh, we might need this, but just please take the time and ensure that you're only requesting the scopes that you need. And if you are requesting something that's not necessarily going to be used right now, make sure we're
Mhm.
aware of that as well. Here we
And it's not
go.
just us that notice that. Like merchants call out partners on this all the time. Like they will email you and ask you why you're using certain scopes. So be transparent up front. Tell them what you need and why.
Yeah, definitely. Good questions in the chat. I like that.
I
Sick
know.
40K minis, absolutely. Huge collection back there. That's,
Hmm.
we'll see how the stream goes, and then maybe I'll, go deep dish on it. Okay, I am going to
Listen.
switch back. So there might be a kind of, I feel like there's sometimes like a little delay in the audio. So just, we'll give her a shot here. Okay, I think we're good. Um, so I've gone ahead and purchased that ad, and I get a confirmation that Jordan B is hard at work. That's awesome. Let's go. And then
Nice.
also, I won't show it on stream either, but I do get a confirmation email sent to me for the email associated
Hmm.
with my store. And yeah, I mean, that is essentially going to be the functionality of this app. And
That's
yeah,
amazing.
super quick, easy to set up. Really loved that. And yeah, I think to kind of go into, I'm sure some people are kind of wondering. I know Ivana touched on it about like why was this app permitted to ask for credit card information and not go through the billing API? Big thing about that is that we understand that this is a cost associated thing. We can't we're not going to charge to the billing API for ad spend. So ad spend would be exempt from that. Um,
Absolutely. I think honestly, that probably answers that question we got at the beginning. Like, what do developers run
for
into
sure.
the most? Buddy Rob asked that. Honestly, yeah, billing and billing related issues is probably like one of the biggest issues that we all run into. Whether billing API is set up, how to create your billing plans, how to bill. There's so many great resources out there that can help you
Yep.
figure out what's best for your product. But that billing API is a hot button.
Definitely. And I mean, yeah, always our developer community is absolutely unreal, as we can see right now. We've got a bunch of
Yeah.
you in here. So like please ask each other
Oh,
questions as well. Hit those forums. We love to see it. MC Drizzy, these are the most beautiful people I've ever seen. Thank you.
ooh, that's a spicy question. Are there any plans for merchants who are on their Shopify mobile app to be able to install Shopify apps directly from their mobile
Mm,
phones? Honestly, I can't answer that definitively, but like I can tell you as a partner that a very large amount of merchants uses their
Yeah.
runs their entire business from their cell phone or from their tablets, and that's mostly outside of North America if you really think about it. It's like anybody that's a medium or a small size merchant is for sure using their or running their business on their
Yeah.
phone. So think about how your app fits into that space if you want it to work.
Absolutely. And I think like basically, what Ivana said is 100%. Like we are so like we are very in touch with the fact that people are going like mobile first
Yeah.
big time. So I would say that I don't know if there's definitely plans, but that is almost certainly the direction that we're going to be moving in.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that's a good spot to wrap up the functionality for this app. I got the email,
Yeah,
I
I
put in
love
the tent,
this.
like the billing obviously is working. Jordan, please refund me. No. But yeah, from here, essentially what we'd be doing after this is that we will reinstall the app and make sure that works. So I would say
Yeah,
as well,
absolutely.
to kind of keep going on that question of what's the biggest thing that people run into, is that we do test your reinstallation, and you have to make sure you're handling that reinstallation process really well. So we got to see OAuth every single install, and if your app does use the billing API, we want to see those charges reauthorized as well. So you got to cancel that previous charge, refire that
Mhm.
charge. So just please, please, please test reinstallation, because for me anyway, like that's what I do at the very end. I see the light, we're almost at the end, the final stretch, and then it's like I'm going to reinstall your app, and it doesn't do that. And you know
Yeah. We got a question. How much should devs ensure an app works before submission?
yeah. So how much should devs ensure an app works? Well, you definitely want it to work. But yeah, you don't want to. Yeah, you kind of want to stress test it. We want to review a final product. I guess the best way to kind of talk about this
Yeah.
is like I don't really want to be the person who's testing your app. I want to be the
Yeah.
person who's
I
reviewing your app against our requirements and then saying you're good to go, or actually you got to change this. I don't want to be like the test subject.
Yeah, and I think it should be noted that if we don't find anything wrong with your app, we publish it immediately.
Yep.
So if you're not publish ready and like feature ready, then like you're going to be in some serious trouble with merchants. So make sure everything works. Also, we keep rejecting the app like fully within review until it starts to work for us, right? So if we're running into major error, so we can't move forward in a
Hmm.
review, uh, review after review, we do reject it.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the thing is, yeah, it's got to work. Like, we want to be reviewing a finished product. We don't
Yeah.
really want your app to be in like an alpha or beta state, and then you submit it to the Shopify App Store. We want you to be able to handle installs. We want things to be going super smoothly.
Yeah.
Cool. So I dig this app.
I want to see that other app.
Yeah,
I
let's
dig this
go.
app too.
I like Advoz.
You know what? It's taken something really complex like ads and made it real
Yeah.
simple and condensed. I actually see this working for partners as well.
Yeah, actually, that's a really good point. It's a good thing to think about. And I
Yeah.
like the fact that it's not just like we're going to, connect a Facebook account and crunch the algorithms. Like you've actually got someone who's going to be
Yeah.
taking a look at your products. Like we were obviously in talks with Jordan, the developer, earlier, and he was asking me questions about what kind of products are you selling on your store? Can I take a look at them? Things
Yeah.
like that. So it seems very
Yeah.
hands on, which I dig.
Yeah.
So
Well, they do have an iOS app. I know Advoz does. So if you're a partner who needs help marketing your product, reach out to Advoz for sure.
yeah, yeah, we got some great questions. Let's just answer a couple questions, then we're gonna get into this next app. So
Awesome.
let's see.
Are apps allowed to use the new Polaris already? I think a new kit is coming out soon. I don't have a timeline for you.
Yeah, that's a good question. MC Jersey, how much context? Yeah, I mean, as much as you can, obviously. I don't really think there would be too much information, but a good kind of a gauge there is like if you've got a very large app in terms of like lots of like deep dish functionality, there's a lot going on. Just kind
Mhm.
of think about it like, is it easier to write up 10 use cases, or is it easier to say here I'm going to make a screen recording of me going through the base functionality
Mhm.
so you can just watch it and see what it does and see that it works, um, and then here are the things that
Yeah.
you have to set up in order to see this working. But no, it's a really good question. But basically, like, yeah, you want to make it very clear how to use the like base functionality of your app, if someone is reviewing it, and just kind of show that you're meeting the requirements. But
Yeah, totally.
always please include test instructions and credentials.
Yeah.
Let's go. Good.
Somebody said that they like the mascot for this app. I totally
Yeah.
agree.
So yeah, that's it's pretty unreal, actually, I would say. I
Yeah.
think it's like a blend between the Fallout video games, like the Pit Boy. It's a blend between Monopoly and then like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Uh, all I understood was
which
Monopoly.
I
Was like,
dig.
what else? Yeah, like what else did you just say?
Love that. And then we got a turtle and unicorn, so that's neat. So
Yeah.
let's go. Let's start again at the listing here. And then Ivana, anytime you want to answer a question, just feel free to tell me to
Yeah.
silence. But yeah, again,
Totally.
so we got a great icon here. It's a mustache. It's great background. It's on a white background. It's gonna look great in the app, which it does right here. Matches. And then TIE, the import export app, TIE. I get it. Good title. I kind of like this here because if you just had like import export app, that would probably be
Yeah.
pretty generic. But I like what they've done to kind of make it a lot more unique. Very clever.
Also, if it was just Thai, like it wouldn't make a lot of sense either.
Yeah, that's true. Tie
Yeah.
with a picture of a mustache. Sorry, you lost me. No, I'm kidding. But
Mm.
seriously. So good tagline. Import, export, update, migrate. So this is a very, again, like a nice high level, it's like a motto. It's just like, hey, what's a very high level thing your app does? So what, ask yourself the question, what does your app do? Like,
Yeah.
you don't know me, you don't know I'm a Shopify person. Like, what does your app do? Just keep it
Totally.
simple for sure. So again, I like that they've used the key benefits section because as we all noticed it real quick.
Yeah.
But yeah, what do we got here? We got 3 good images, no text, no nothing. And again, just like great high level stuff about what the app does. 3 major features. I want to bulk up. Can I bulk update? Yep, I can. I want to migrate to Shopify. Cool. Looks like I can do that. I want to get my product feeds out there. Done. So
Yeah.
really, really well done section here. I like this.
I'm going to answer a question.
Yeah, go for it.
Sorry. Somebody says some reviewers open up the browser dev console. Is this standard? So if we do run into an error
good question.
somewhere, you know what? I'm going to take a screenshot of it or a video recording of it and show it to you so that you can debug it better.
Yeah. Yeah. So essentially, for a little like insight into our review tool, we do have criteria that we would check off for those things that we run into that are extremely specific to your app review. So things that we're going to have to, like freestyle a message to you and include that in that email. Because I mean, we're not really like looking to hit a snag and then go, oh, we can't review this app anymore. We're really trying to make the app work, and we want to bring that to your attention. We want to figure out, hey, is this just like a thing on my side? What's going on? So we'll include any and all information that can help you fix the problem that we're running into in your app review.
Yeah. As case 15 asks, what are the most common requirements app fails so we can avoid them when submitting? There's actually a really great blog post about this. I'm going to find it and link it for you here. Any particular notes to be aware of submitting a non-embedded app? No, either embedded or don't embed it. Don't do both at the same time, but we don't have a preference. You do you, bud.
Yeah, and just, this should go without saying, but make sure you got that SSL certificate going all day, all night.
Yeah, that's a good tool to have.
Let's keep crushing this here. So again, so here is a good kind of detailed description in the sense of being, this is detailed. But what I really like about this is we got a high level kind of descriptor of what this app is going to do. And then again, I said it before, I love use cases. I absolutely love to see this. If you've got, they kind of answer that question that you might have in your head when you're looking for this app really, really well. But yeah, this is really well done. They kind of hit that right off the bat, and then they go into a little bit more detail down here if you're looking for maybe something a bit more specific. So I would say this is a really, really, really well done, detailed description. I think it's going to answer a lot of questions. But the other thing I like is that it isn't necessarily this like step 1, step 2, step 3. Here's a bunch of FAQs. Like it's nice.
Cool.
All right. Let's just whip over here. So we actually, we have a dedicated FAQ URL, which is another reason we don't want it in your main listing. I was checking this out before, and you know, I can clearly see that they've put a lot of effort into their documentation, which
Oh
is
wow,
great.
that is very extensive. That's going to save them so much
Yeah,
time
it's
and
good.
money
And what's
later
good
on.
about it too is that when I was going through some help documentation, they actually like hyperlink it to the specific section, obviously. So that's really nice of them. That is a huge
Yeah,
analogy. You are hydrated,
I, you know what? Hydration station.
especially in these turtleneck.
Yeah, you know
Where am
it.
I? Yeah, so I like that. We've also, what I like about this is that we've got a little demo URL here. So if we fire
Ooh.
this up, here's the thing that I wanted to ask you about, Ivana, is that this URL, and I want to ask the chat this as well, because obviously when we're on the listing, it says explore the app works in an example store, view example store. So you're assuming that it's going to go
Mhm.
to an actual storefront, but this one goes to their documentation, which then kind of obviously is showing us some GIFs and
Mhm.
demonstrations.
Yeah,
I actually really like this. I think this
same.
is a great way to demo your app. Maybe it links to, like a deep dish Vimeo or YouTube video. So I think, I'd like to know what the chat thinks if you guys would like this field to be
Yeah,
kind of like reworded or opened up a little bit, because obviously not every app affects the storefront. So I think still being able to demo that right from the listing is super important. Um,
absolutely. Some people are just visual learners. Some people
mhm.
don't want to read. I can't tell you how many times it's taken me to a YouTube video and I have been jazzed to
Yeah.
watch it.
I love the music in the YouTube videos too.
Yeah,
The huge,
it's a positive
just
vibe,
a
you know.
big ukulele guy. Uh,
Yeah.
they always seem to be ukuleles. But yeah, there we go. Yeah, link text is a bit confusing. Those example store links are used for all kinds of things. Yeah, I think we're gonna take a look into that, because I think it's just better. They also think, like, sorry, the other thing I'd like to also touch on is that normally up here, if you include a promotional video, it lives right up here, the thumbnail. The distinction there is that it has to be promotional. We don't really
Yeah.
want there to be like a 7 minute, screencast recording. This has to be something that's going to promote your app. And again, the best way to think about it is like make a video for your key benefits. That's the way I
Yeah,
kind of look
it's
at it.
true.
That's what I want to see. So I think,
It should be sort of like an ad that you would run on
yeah,
TV or Facebook.
yeah, definitely. All right, I appreciate your feedback in the chat there. I think that's
Yeah.
really something that we should explore.
Oh, somebody wants examples of some beautifully made Shopify app or embedded apps that work on mobile. Honestly, any Shopify made app.
Yeah,
Take a look at them. Yeah, they use Polaris. They're embedded and they work on mobile. Um, Fantastic.
yeah, those are good examples for sure. The other one, if you wanted to, you can check out Advoz, the app we just reviewed. It'll be published soon. But
Yeah.
I mean, it's clearly responsive on mobile from the screenshot, so that'd be a good thing to look at. So let's keep cracking on here, and let's take a look at these screenshots here. So let's take a little look see. So we got 3 screenshots, and again, this app does not affect the storefront. It imports and exports data. But what I want to touch on here is that, so like technically, these do hit the requirement of having 3 screenshots showing the user interface of your app, but I think we can all see that there's a little issue here, in the
Yeah.
sense that this is 2/3 text and not a whole lot of screenshot going on. This screenshot,
Yeah, App Annihilator called it tiny, tiny.
yeah.
I need to put my glasses on just to see it, and I don't want to do that.
Oh, tiny, tiny. That's
Yeah,
funny. Um, but yeah, I think like this one is kind of like this screenshot's a little tilted. So this is one of those things where it's just like, again, maybe there was a little formatting issue that went down here. So we're not going to be like, oh, you messed up your screenshots. Too bad for you. We're going to let you know. And we're going to
yeah,
ask you to kind of fix these. So a distinction too is like you can have text in your screenshots, and I don't just mean like text of the screenshot. Obviously, I mean like descriptive text that
yeah.
is kind of like explaining what's going on in the screenshot. So this is totally fine. We just can't have that in your key benefits. So they have to be illustrations or photos only. So we would definitely ask this developer or pop the requirement that says, "Hey, you need to redo your screenshots." But I mean,
Mhm.
besides that, the actual content itself is fine.
Fantastic. I'm going to answer a quick question. Do
Yep.
we have to get approval for making changes to the app description page after approval? I will want to make a promo video to add the intro
Mm,
page, but don't have time now. No, this is your business. Just make sure that you're still following the guidelines and the requirements and you're not going against that, and you're Gucci.
Yeah. So real quick for the promo video, I think for a lot of developers that is something they add like after the fact, after they get published. I mean, and yeah, the main thing is
Yeah.
like please try to keep it maximum 2 minutes. And again, promotional content. Like you can have a little bit of screencast stuff just to be like, here's what it does in a very short amount of time. You know, like just click add to cart.
Hmm.
But please don't make it like a video walkthrough because you know it's just not really that promotional. It's more demonstrative.
Yeah.
It's a good question.
I like that we have 4 pricing plans here, so we
Yeah.
get to test that.
Yeah, big old maximum amount of 4 here. If you have more than 4 pricing plans, or let's say you had an enterprise pricing plan where you want them to contact you and work something out, in your 4th plan, you can just say, please view our pricing URL for more plans. And there's a pricing URL field, which this developer in question didn't have to make use of because they only have 4 plans. So this is great. 4 different recurring charges. We go back up here. There's a free plan available. Awesome. So very accurate,
Cool.
you know? All right, sweet. So that is that listing. Let's go over here.
I like it.
Yeah, big time. I really like their documentation.
Yeah.
So again, let's do the same thing. So this app has obviously already made it through. Here's the app UI. Looks like potentially a mimic of Excelify. Yeah, we'd have to obviously go through the admin.
Yeah.
But we understand that like developers might use similar UI kits too. Okay, let's see. So this app is a really good contrast to Advoz because it does ask for a lot of information, and that's because it's doing a lot of importing and exporting of that information. So we would go through this. Like obviously this is a lot, but at the same time, I mean, if they're going to need to import or export any of these elements, your products, blogs, customers, payouts, you know, like we get it.
Yeah.
So that's reasonable to me. So let's fire it up.
Exciting.
Again, another embedded app looks like. Very nice.
That's good.
All right. So, I mean, for the most part, this is looking. This looks
really good.
Yeah, looks great to me. Got some Polaris elements in there. What I like. So
Yeah.
I've obviously already been inside this app doing some reviewing just to make sure it didn't explode on stream. But yeah, what I like to do is normally kind of the flow would be, okay, we install it, we go through OAuth, we're good to go. Let's hit some onboarding, and then let's try and get a premium plan going to verify billing API. So let's just do that. I'm on the starter plan right now, but let's go big. Let's go big.
Can we talk a little bit about onboarding? What's your favorite way to get onboarded onto a complex app?
Yeah, for sure. I'm a huge onboarding guy. So essentially, I mean, that first step after I install your app, like whatever screen I'm directed to, I want that to be the first step of onboarding. I want you to tell me exactly what I need to do to get this app up and running in a reasonable amount of time. The other thing, in terms of touching on like really big, complex apps, there's probably things that absolutely need to get set up and then things that can be set up later. So if you want to run a demo of your app to get someone acquainted with it, make them do all the things they absolutely have to do, and then let them, skip things they don't have to do right now, show them how to get back to it later. You can always do this later at this link, things like that. And always make sure that they can get back to that onboarding. You don't want it to be like a one-time tour. Okay, you skip through it or whatever, and now it's gone forever. And now you're going to have to like slog through an app UI to figure it out. So always make sure it's something that you can actually do. But yeah, the other thing too, go ahead, Ivana.
No, I was going to say, I love that. I fully agree with you.
Yeah. Oh, perfect. Yes. That you can always say.
Yeah, I mean, we're on the same team. Come on.
For sure. We got, Ivana has unreal tattoos.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go ahead and approve the subscription. So a nice detail here of what plan I'm currently on, what I'm going for. It matches what's on the listing, so that's what we're going to look for too. Again, that's one of those things that we're going to help you with. Like if we notice that your app pricing isn't matched up, we will let you know. There we go. Jolly good show. We're on the unlimited plan. So something for billing, if you do have multiple pricing plans, is that you have to be able to upgrade and downgrade them. The merchant needs to be able to switch plans whenever they want. They should never have to contact you to say, hey, I'm looking to downgrade, I'm looking to upgrade. Obviously, enterprise plans is a whole different shebang, so we get that. But
yeah, and usage plans is also a different shebang.
Yeah,
too.
Good point.
Yeah.
But basically, sometimes you might run into something where it's like, okay, well, obviously functionality and potentially threshold is going to change on a billing plan, but you could do something like just let the merchant know, like, okay, if you downgrade, just so you know, we're going to have to remove 500 products that you can customize or export or something like that. So just keep them in the mix, keep them in the know, and don't let them don't leave them in the dark. So with that, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to go back down to the starter plan, and I really, really love this. So this would.
Are you gonna?
What's
I was
that?
gonna ask. I was like, are you gonna cancel the charge and see if
Ooh,
it
yeah, let's do that.
allows you to do things for free? This is
Mm,
my favorite thing to do when I'm doing an app review, by the way, is that when you've got a bunch
interesting.
of plans like this, is to cancel the billing and see if I can use your product for free.
Yeah, let's see what we
Um,
can do.
yeah,
Let's try
because
to
if I
break
can't,
it.
obviously I'm gonna tell you about it, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't want you to lose out on
Yeah,
money.
it's a big thing.
You
So yeah, no, Ivana raises a really good point. We will check and make sure that your charge like actually cancels. So that's the other thing too. Like we want, it's very awkward when you say you've canceled the charge and it doesn't cancel. I think we've all been there
yeah,
with
yeah,
one large telecom or another. um,
yeah,
all right, let's downgrade this. I do love this modal though that says like this is exactly what I'm talking about. Like, hey, if you downgrade, you're not going to have the same features you used to have. So keep that, top of mind. To take it a
mhm,
step further, what's awesome is when they, the developer will actually say you will not be able to export up to 12,000 or whatever. So Ivana, you're saying we should try to
right.
cancel
Yeah,
this?
yeah. Let's do it.
Let's
Why
cancel
not?
it. All right. Let's see what happens here. It's redirecting. Okay, it
Mhm.
redirects back to the app index page. So that's interesting.
Mm.
What?
That's okay. This is okay
This
as
is
long as you
okay.
can now enter the app and
Yeah.
not use it for free. You know.
Yeah. That's the thing. So that's kind of where. So here we go. It still tells me I'm on that unlimited plan. That was my first pick. But we
Nice.
would we
Okay.
would probably go and check that to make sure that, hey, that it didn't go through or something like that. So we just want to make sure that billing
Yeah.
is functioning as intended, because you don't really want that headache if someone's not being charged what they're supposed to or being
Yeah.
not charged at all. So I'm going to go through and actually do this just to ensure that I can upgrade and downgrade plans. I did the upgrade. Let's try a downgrade,
Yes.
but it's looking like it should be pretty good. So we saw there that it kind of like redirects to a non-embedded and then it goes back to embedded. That's totally fine. There's a lot of factors that could happen there, like my internet speed. Don't hate the player, hate the game kind of thing.
It's true.
Yeah. Here we go. What do we got? This is so helpful. Thank you very, very much, DevX. Appreciate that. Yeah, I hope the stream's going well. This is the first time we're doing something like this,
Yeah.
and I think it'd be cool to kind of keep it going and show you guys
Yeah.
how we review different kinds of app types.
Yeah, for sure. And AFC, you are correct.
Mm-hmm.
It is Shopify behavior to redirect you to the app index page after the subscription is canceled. What we do test is that when we do re-enter your app, obviously we can't use it for free.
Mm-hmm. All right, Prakash2323 mentions. Okay, he's asking about. Let's see here.
Hmm.
Okay, yeah, like in terms of the name, if you have something that's enhancing a feature of Shopify, that's a very, very good question. Analytics for Shopify shipping. So one of those things, I mean, yeah, you'd likely still have to come up with a pretty unique name, but then later on in the either in your key benefits or something like that, you want to drive home what it's actually going to do. So, I mean,
Yeah, I would say the long description instead of key benefits.
yep,
I think using the word Shopify in your listing can definitely be flagged for sure in the future.
yeah. I think like a really good example though is something like Advoz, that first app we were looking at. I mean, Advoz, yes, it's got the word ad in it, but it doesn't really immediately tell you anything about what it's going to be doing. It's only later on in that listing when we kind of really understood what it's going to do and how it's going to help us. So I think there's a lot you can do, but you do want to be unique as possible because it's just easier to kind of brand.
Yeah. Someone's asking about your setup, Marco.
Oh,
Where's that
let's
blue
go.
light
That's a
coming from?
whole other stream.
Yeah.
That's a whole other stream. Coming from a reef tank? No.
Right.
No, I got a couple like LED situations going on there, purple,
Ooh.
blue. I'm just like a huge synthwave guy, as you guys heard in the intro. Got a little light
Yeah.
up there. It's a whole thing.
McDrizzy was correct.
Yeah.
Marco's a huge Philips Hue guy, I would assume.
Massive
Not
Philly
wrong.
Philly H guy. Yeah.
Link to the other stream, please. Marco, can we plug your stream here for a sec?
Oh, yeah, I guess we can. Hold on.
Yeah,
Uh,
this man streams. You know it.
let's try this. Okay. Well, this is it.
This is it. You're going to be famous now. Call your mom. Everybody.
Yeah, we'll see. Pro streamer Marco. Someone can maybe link it. Am I allowed to link this? Hold on. There we go. That's me. Mark over it.
Yeah.
Actually, it's really funny in the chat right now. There's some folks who I regularly stream with and game with, just kind of popping in, showing their support. Not going to get any 13-1 wins in Valorant today. Really sorry about that. This might be a little bit more boring. But hey, let's keep it going. So yeah, this app.
Let's see what this app has.
This app, I like this because, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like export data from Shopify using our export wizard. So I mean, it's one of those things where I wouldn't mind seeing maybe a little bit more of a here's what you do next kind of situation. But at the same time, I understand that this is like, it imports and it exports.
Can get visually heavy.
Yeah, for sure. So I think this is pretty good. I like this down here. Here's the other thing too. Like it might not be right at the very, very top. So something, this wouldn't be a requirement I'd like slam on the dev or anything, but it might be something we're thinking about to maybe, hey, if they're like how to import, how to export. Those seem like the two biggest features of your app. Maybe we have those a little bit more prevalent. So how to export. This should ideally link down. Yeah, so see, it hyperlinks to their super in-depth documentation. I really, really like that. One thing I might say is that it's kind of cool when the documentation is also embedded in that user interface, but we totally understand that it might not be able to do so. But basically, like, hey, if the merchant doesn't have to leave their Shopify admin, doesn't have to leave what they're working on, that's always better. But I can super appreciate how robust that documentation is, and I think that really instills confidence. And I like that they've included GIFs and videos and things like that, because otherwise a huge wall of text with 50 steps is kind of like, I got other stuff I got to do today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm going to give a piece of advice for those documentations. I think it's fantastic to have a bunch of videos, but if you have voiceover videos, make sure you also have a transcript that goes along with them to make them accessible to everybody.
That's a really good point. Double up on stuff, have a video, have the text. It makes a ton of sense.
Accessibility is important,
PS5 or the new Xbox, man, big PC guy. So if you want to be the console rabble, be my guest. All right. So yeah, I mean, I really like this because, again, like importing and exporting at its core, you think like, oh, that's kind of simple. But what I like about this is that they've included kind of why you'd want to do this. Like if I want to bulk update my prices and knock everything down by 10% because I'm a really good guy, this app can do that. It makes it very accessible. If I want to migrate over from another platform to Shopify, obviously, easy to do so. So I am liking what I'm seeing so far. So let's try to do a little export situation here.
Yeah.
So they've got like a master, so format, CSV or Excel. Cool. What I like about this is that you're able to kind of export a lot of different things. And the other thing too is that it's a very kind of universal format. It allows for bulk updating in Sheets and then shooting it back into Shopify, which is great. So let's just do customers. And we'll do an export.
I like that it's all checkboxes, so it's not just like automatically everything.
Yeah, everything, and you're waiting like a potentially very long amount of time. I like that when this is now going into like a queued situation, I can do a quick review here. Obviously, this is all going to light up when it's done, but I like that it also confirmed, okay, your export's in process, and then I can go back, and I think it can also see some completed stuff in this tab. Yeah, I already did 2 earlier just to make sure that works. And then obviously what you can do is download this. And then when you go back, you can re-import it. So I think there's a lot of different, I like that they show you no errors happen, but I like that they would tell you that. And they might not necessarily just kind of like kill the import and say, sorry, and then you're left wondering what on earth in this, 5,000 row spreadsheet went wrong.
Or even worse, send you an email that you never check. Yeah,
exactly. So I noticed about this app actually that they do send emails, and I think you can actually configure this in your settings. Yeah, this is awesome. Nice. This is a really good feature that I like here. So obviously you're really busy, and you can you can choose if you want to get emailed every time something's queued, started, finished, whatever, or you can just turn it off kind of thing. I love that this also allows you to
Okay.
get your other staff members in the mix as well. It's not just going to like the shop or account email. Um,
Hmm.
Completed total jobs, good stuff. So I think this is honestly like a very, very approachable app for importing and exporting. Uh,
Yeah.
and it's just kind
Listen,
of
I'm going to
opens it
comment
up.
on the fact that we're just a little bit over time. So those of
Yeah,
you that are sticking with us, huge thank you. We promise this won't take much longer.
for sure. Yeah, I was gonna say honestly, I'm pretty much wrapped up on this app. Both these apps,
Hmm.
like we kind of just fell into them through talking with some folks and just kind of going through our review queue and just asking, hey, would you be up for this? This is the first time we're doing this. We're going to crash test it.
Yeah.
And so we just want to say thanks to those devs for sure for allowing us to do that and maybe taking a little bit more
Yeah.
time in the review flow. But yeah, I hope this was really insightful for folks. But
Mm.
yeah, both these
We
apps are
also want
impressive.
this to be longer.
Yeah, yeah,
We get a lot of comments. Everybody wants this to go
yeah.
on. But honestly, like maybe we could make this a regular TV show.
For
Who
sure,
knows?
yeah. I mean, I'm down to give it like 5 more minutes if we want to get some questions in there. We'll try to answer as many as we can. We've also got mods in there, so
Yeah.
we'll be tracking that. We can hit you up probably through Twitch, of course. But so just to do a quick recap, the thing that I would definitely hit this app with would be to do with those screenshots we saw because
Yeah.
they're a little wonky right now. But I'm sure just we get that you're busy and just like
Yeah.
throwing things in the listing to get the ball rolling. Uh, I would likely tell them about the kind of like cancellation thing. And then I would hit them with must have some setup instructions. And then what I might do
Hmm.
is then maybe customize that criteria a bit just to say like it's not totally clear what I'm supposed to do as soon as I've kind of, installed this app. So yeah.
Yeah. Like a little walkthrough, you know?
Yeah.
I'd be super cool with
Because
that.
they've
It doesn't
got
have to
it.
be massive.
Yeah, they've got the
Yeah.
information, but like I think how to import and how to export is like these are more so like features of your app that you should be onboarded into how to doing, not so much like, oh, I need help with it, so I'm gonna go get that information. This is what your app does,
Yeah.
so merchants need to be aware of that. But yeah, again, really impressive app. I like it a lot. Again, what we do at this point is we would try to reinstall the app and we would definitely double check all the scopes that are being used before we hit that publish button. So both these apps are
Yeah.
almost there. We're going to follow up with them after the stream and they'll be published very soon. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch back to our banter screen. Booyah.
Oh, that's us.
That's us.
Okay.
That's us.
Yeah, you know what? We do have some fans in here. Thanks so much for your
Shouts to the
positive feedback,
fans.
everybody. We definitely love doing this for you.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie. How to reach us to get more questions to us? Definitely post on our API forums. We will definitely be snooping in there
Mm-hmm.
and answering as many questions as we can.
Yeah,
Okay.
for sure. Hit us up. Also, please get involved in the partners Slack channel. That's a big
Hmm.
buzz. So get in there. I'm in there now and then for sure. And also always up on the Twitter sphere. Big Twitter guy. Love that. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think this was really fun. And honestly, if there's any kind of feedback, yeah, hit us up on Twitter. If there's a specific type of app you'd kind of like to see us review, that can definitely be a thing as well. And I do really hope you got some insights from that. I think Ivana and I really enjoyed ourselves, and it was if anything, a great excuse to throw on the turtlenecks.
Honestly, yeah. It's a really good day to keep my neck warm.
Definitely. Evorpad, big chance we're going to do this again. I really hope we do.
Yeah.
But absolutely. Also,
Same.
obviously, guys, if you are familiar with Twitch or not, these streams do get automatically recorded. So you will be able to visit our Twitch channel and just watch kind of the video on demand. So you can skip through parts or, just save certain clips, things like that. So,
Yeah.
and yes, I know my sweater game is always on fleek. And thank you guys very,
Yeah.
very much. We will see you next time. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
All right. Ciao, everyone. Enjoy your days.
Yay.
Bye.